All right, I would like to open the meeting of the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust for Thursday, September 12th, 2024 at 6:08 p.m. Could I have a roll call of members, please?
Beverly Napier here.
Dave Worland, present.
Cindy Bounty present.
And Veronica Kell, present. Thank you. I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded. Is there anyone else recording?
There is.
Are you recording, Cindy?
Yes, there is. I said.
Thank you.
Did the camera go on before the meeting started?
As soon as I walked out of my car.
Okay, because if you look at the open meeting law,
There's no meeting when I got out of my car. It's open meeting law applies to meetings. The meeting just started. But
have
the
you been
person-
recording the whole time we were here talking?
You're retaliating against me for.
No, I'm not
Yes,
retaliating.
you are.
No,
You're
she's
retaliating
supposed to
me.
No, I'm not. I'm
All right.
following the rules of the open meeting law set
Great.
forth.
The open meeting
by
law
the
doesn't apply to me
Massachusetts.
when I get out of my car. Do you understand?
I don't know what that means, but when
open
you
meeting
come in
law-
here, the camera should not be on until you have told, so we have a problem. I suggest we adjourn the meeting.
All right, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Is there a second?
No one
That
else.
said, I was wondering the same thing, if she had that camera on when we were having just
Just a
private
conversation.
conversation that
Yeah.
was, not involved in the meeting at all. And I don't think it's necessary to record that
Yeah.
or write.
And it does, in the, open meeting handbook on page 18, right? Members of the public are free to videotape a meeting, but they are supposed to, at the beginning of the meeting, notify the chair that you're videotaping, and that's when the camera goes on. Good. Not while we're all sitting.
So
Here,
hopefully,
not
Cindy,
knowing
in
that
the
we are
future, would
being
that be acceptable
videotaped.
to you?
It will not be acceptable to me if you're denying me my right to exercise my First Amendment rights, as well as my rights under the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. The First Amendment allows all recordings in public places. That includes the town hall, anywhere in it that's accessible to the public at any time that it is open. So as soon as I walk out
Do
of
we
my
have a
car, my
copy of that
camera
page
is
18
on.
thing?
My camera has always been in full view. And you all know that when you see me with this on my tripod throughout the town of Townsend, you know I am recording. There is no secret recording because you all know you've had this debate before and it is unlawful, in my opinion, and you are trying to deny me my First Amendment rights. You're complaining and you're retaliating. against me.
No, nobody
No,
has retaliated.
no.
And
I
I'm
don't
not
know what
saying anymore.
retaliation you're
I will be
seeing.
passing this on to my attorney. Thank you.
Good.
All right.
All right,
You
so,
are already retained. Thank you.
all right, so there's a motion on the floor that did not carry, so we will, continue. Erin, go ahead.
Okay.
I just want to note that it is allowed to record in public places, so long as it is not in an office, a private office or something like that. It is allowed to record. However, you are supposed to, if you are recording a meeting, you are supposed to let them know ahead of time that you are recording the public meeting.
So you didn't let anybody know that you were recording
First
a
of all,
public
you
meeting?
guys were late. I did notify the chair
Oh,
that was
goodness.
in this meeting and it is on tape. And then, as every board does in this town, Veronica Kell, the chair of the Townsend Affordable Housing Trust, asked a question at the beginning of the meeting. Is there anyone else recording? I said yes. So that is fully met. In fact, you can't stop me from recording, even if that step isn't done. I'm done talking.
Okay,
And this
so
is on your
I think,
agenda, so I may file an
I
open
know,
meeting law against you.
You can do that too, and I could file one because when a member of the public records the meeting, they're not supposed to interfere with the meeting. And that's what's happening now. So,
I'm answering your question.
but you were answering the question that you were recording before the meeting started without notifying anybody that you were recording. Therein lies the problem. That's the problem.
That's your problem, not mine.
Well, you know what?
Okay, I think, that, we will, convene and from now on, prior to the meeting, we will come in here when the meeting starts.
There you go.
So that
There you go.
our conversations about our lives aren't recorded.
Indeed,
And I think that's what the objection is. So,
correct.
when we're just talking to each other, that's all. All right, so, chairman's additions and deletions to the agenda unforeseen prior to 48 hours of this meeting. I have nothing else to add at this point. Does anybody else? Erin, is there anything else that's come up that we need to add?
Nothing's come up that we need to necessarily add. I will just note that Chaz submitted his resignation to the committee, and so we no longer have a select board rep, but we will be reassigned a select board representative, and we are searching, or we will be posting and searching for a housing authority state representative because Chaz served in that role for the housing authority. We are also, and I guess this is sort of housing authority business, so I apologize. But we are also posting for the vacancies on the housing authority as well, because they were not previously posted, which was an error in between the person who was prior to me and before I was hired. That was missed, so we are now doing that as well.
Okay, thank you, Erin.
Sure.
All right, approve the meeting minutes. Erin sent those out today. Did people have time to review them?
I looked very quickly at them and they seemed okay to me.
Yeah, that was the same with me. Do you want to take time to review? We can put them off until,
No, I think,
okay, so is there a motion to accept the minutes of, what was the date, 5/24 or something like that?
The 16th.
5/16.
Move to accept the minutes from the meeting on 5/16.
Is there a second?
second,
All right, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes then are accepted by the Affordable Housing Trust. I don't know if they also have to be accepted by the Housing Authority because they're joint meeting minutes? Or did you vote, are they written separately?
They are written in the same one. I will separate them in order to post them so that
Okay.
each has a set. So the housing authority will just have to later accept the minutes when they have enough people to have a quorum.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Next one is an update from THA. We have Natalie Call here, the chairman of the Housing Authority. So do you have an update for us that you would like to?
Honestly, I don't, unless Aaron's got something, that should be addressed, I'm not sure. Honestly, I don't know. There's nothing to address, we can address it at a housing authority meeting. Aaron?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Do we have anything to, update the, Affordable Housing Trust from the housing authority? I don't think we do, except that was just that one meeting we had.
Yeah, so the MRPC came to the last housing authority meeting and had a discussion with the housing authority on VASH vouchers, which is through the VA. Bernie Cahill from MRPC had a discussion with the VA because they were not able to attend the housing authority meeting. And during that discussion, they, the sort of very boiled down version of it is that we are going to explore it a little bit more, but that for anyone who is looking for vouchers, the best thing for us to do is to help connect them with Veterans Affairs, because they are the best service to help people who are veterans and looking for housing. They have the knowledge in the back of their hand, as opposed to us, which we're going to have to do a little bit more searching in order to ensure that they are properly cared for. So that is sort of the very basics of it, but there is a lot more to it if we ever want to sort of really explore that. And during the next Housing Authority meeting, I believe in October, we are looking to see if the Veteran Services agent from the VA who specializes in VASH will be able to attend that meeting and discuss it in more detail and answer any questions. I passed around the notes from that meeting prior to tonight. If anybody has any questions that they want to have answered by the VA, they can send those to me and I will collect them together so that the gentleman who will be hopefully attending will be able to answer those at that time.
Okay, thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question? You know, the vouchers like that, rent vouchers, are those only for, just because I don't know about this, only for veterans?
Yes.
Are there other vouchers that the town could use for Townsend residents that aren't veterans, but that need rental assistance?
Yeah, so there's different sorts of vouchers. Townsend doesn't have any right now that we distribute. We would probably send someone to a larger housing authority. Like I know that like Chelmsford has a larger one, and Lowell, Fitchburg. So there's other areas that have larger housing authorities, and they have a certain number of vouchers that they can use to help people get rental assistance
And you don't
if they meet certain requirements.
You don't have to be from Lowell to get a voucher, because I know like in Acton, you have to be from Acton to get a voucher from Acton.
Don't quote me on this, but I don't think so. I think it's dependent on where you're looking to live, perhaps, because I know I spoke to someone who was looking to get a voucher for a different municipality, and they were looking to see how they could sort of move into a different area, and so they were looking specifically for information on how to move into that different area. And what we when we were looking through some paperwork, we thought that the best path was to actually work with the housing authority that served that area, if that makes sense. This isn't something that I've had to do since I've been here, so I apologize if that's incorrect, but that is the way that I understand it, at least.
Okay, I'm just wondering, because I thought that's another program too, that with funds and things that.
All right. Thank you, Natalie and Aaron, for that update. Update from TAHT. I think that mostly I would say we are still waiting to hear back from MHP. I do have some suggestions. I think we may want to, and we can talk about this more in our next meeting, to start talking to other organizations about ideas. But I think that's more of a topic for the next meeting, or do we want to talk about it now? This is the housing network. The idea was not to, the thought was not to have, not to wait until MHP comes back with their thoughts for us, to that it might be time for us to go out to the Council on Aging, to the churches, other places, to gather information about what thoughts people have for this, as opposed to just saying, here it is, and this is what we're doing. And so questions to ask might be, how can people buy here? How can they stay here? Have disability in the discussion, discuss supportive housing. And then it's, who are we going to talk, who should the housing be developed for? Seniors, workforce, disabled families, et cetera, et cetera. and what type of housing do people have in mind. So, townhouses, cottages, the chicken coop approach, et cetera, et cetera. So, anyway, so we might want to discuss that at our next meeting. But in any event, as far as the update goes, we really don't have anything to report back from MHP.
When did we first reach out?
To them,
Yeah,
was around October of last year.
so it's been almost a year.
Yeah, Cindy and I had gone to that meeting in Hadley or whatever it was.
Sunderland.
Sunderland, that's where it was. And it was after that.
Is
that we
do you-
reached out.
You think that's because they're backlogged? They've just got too many things on their plate?
It's probably the case that they
Mhm.
do and not enough people. So, I think too that I think that for the things that we're doing now, they use contractors. So it's the top, like the
Oh,
the engineering firm, the environmental firm that went out and looked at the wetlands and did the marking. So I think it's that. Also, they, the coordination of schedules of not only their staff, but, other organizations.
Yeah, I think that's all. I mean, that's all it is. It's taken a year. We're still waiting,
Yeah.
but,
And it took us until December though to connect with
yeah,
MHP and to make sure they understood what we were looking for. And then it was January when we met with Laura Schufelt,
uh-huh.
and late January when we signed the paperwork with them. So I think it was April or May when they did the environmental engineering. Is that right, Aaron? Yeah. So there was someone who had looked before. I think it was MHP themselves, and then it was the engineering firm, and now we're just kind of waiting for the next thing to come. So.
and I always think too, the network meeting that we go to, I haven't been to one for a little while now, but the network meetings, and they talked about, oh, we've been working at this for 10 years, and they had just like breaking ground. Like, I think it's just a long process.
So
And so,
anyway, yeah. So that's pretty much where we are as far as that goes. I think everything else as far as an update are things that we're covering in our agenda, which I just covered up. There we go. So we'll talk more about that as we go through. So anybody have anything else they want to add? Okay. So that, moving on to 1.4, I think we've already received that update from Aaron. So I'm going to move on to 1.5, update on the ADU bylaw and the State's Affordable Homes Act. So Aaron, do you want to start with that, or do you want me to talk, or either way?
Sure, I can give the very basic overview,
Okay.
which is that so it was just signed. This legislation was just signed a couple of weeks ago now, and it states that, and the big thing that came from it that everyone's talking about is that it provides accessory dwelling units, ADUs, are now allowed by right beginning in sometime in mid-February. I want to say it's February 21st or 15th or something like that. They are allowed by right one ADU per property in single family zoning, single family residence zoning. They may not be larger than 900 square feet or half of the square footage of the primary residence, whichever is less. So if you have a 2,000 square foot home, that does not mean that you can make a 1,000 square foot ADU. You are capped at 900 square feet. It has to have, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, things like that. But they're leaving a lot of it up to the towns if you want to have, sort of other things be a part of this, but they're allowing it by right, so that we can hopefully the idea is to hopefully create more housing that is for people that are starting out or people that are trying to downsize. If you're trying to bring a family member to live with you, but don't necessarily have the room in your home. So there's some different opportunities that are coming with this. This does make Townsend's ADU bylaw no longer valid. So we are going to be taking a look at what that means for Townsend. But those are sort of the basic things that come with this. And I'm sure we could have a very long and robust discussion, but I think that a lot of this will sort of be, we'll see what comes down the pipeline, especially when we start looking at the zoning and how that needs to change. And if there are any changes that come to Townsend's ADU bylaw because of this.
Okay. Any
I
questions?
have one question. Do we know if it's owner occupied?
I did not find that out yet. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other questions on the ADA? Okay, so moving on to the Affordable Homes Act. Because I have something I want to talk about there. So go ahead. I'll let you start, Erin, and then I'll go.
Well, I will just say that it is very lengthy. And if you have not had a time to peruse it at your leisure, it's great weekend reading material. You have an extra few hours and lots of coffee. But there may be, or there is an earmark in there for $250,000 specifically for Townsend to create affordable housing. And I'm guessing that, Veronica, that means that you got some information from Margaret Scarsdale.
Yeah. So let me just say that I did meet with Margaret Scarsdale yesterday. I had 3 questions. One was about the $250,000 in the bond bill for the town for affordable housing for Townsend. And the second question we'll talk about further on had to do with the HUD Metropolitan Statistical Area. And in addition to meeting with Margaret yesterday, I did speak with Emma Catelli in Lori Trahan's office this afternoon, because that is a HUD designation and therefore it's federal, not state. So I'll talk about that when we get further down. And then I think we have that. No, maybe I'm going to talk about that now because that's where we are. Well, really MBTA communities, I think, is where that fits. And then the third thing I wanted to talk about was the subsidized housing inventory. So those were the 3 things I had a discussion with her about. So on this, I'm going to just read the words from the document itself. It's 194 pages. So like Erin said, it's massive. And it was included in our packets for the meeting we had, what was it, last week? So it's in there. I just did a search on Townsend. So that was the easiest way to find it. But let's talk about this. Provided further, I'm reading from this. Maybe I should start with the Fitchburg piece and then read down to the Townsend piece. So it's just all this legalese about what has been provided to towns. So let me read about Fitchburg. Provided further that not less than $2 million shall be expended for the city of Fitchburg to assist with the redevelopment, renovation, and site improvement of underutilized properties to provide additional housing capacity. And then provided further that not less than $250,000 shall be expended for the Townsend Housing Authority to improve and renovate site conditions in Townsend. So my question, and that's why I wanted to bring this up in the joint meeting, is there are 2 ways this can go. This can go to the Housing Authority, but the Housing Authority, I don't believe, has an account within the town of Townsend. Or it could be reworded to go to the Housing Trust and then expended in the ways that are able to be used. Because to improve and renovate site conditions, I guess we need to decide what that means.
Pretty broad.
And what Margaret told me was that this was kind of a last minute addition. She was told, if you want something in this bill for your towns, now's the time to get it. She envisioned that all towns had a functioning housing authority in the sense of they have vouchers and they hold properties that they move people in and out of and take care of. And that's not, she learned afterwards that that's not where things are. So there is the opportunity to get some wording changed if we wanted to go into the Affordable Housing Trust account that we do have with the town. If not, I believe there has to be some sort of wording adopted, perhaps at town meeting, to provide for an account. It's a bond bill, so it's not like tomorrow this money is appearing. It will be over time, and the town needs to keep their eye out for when this is available for transfer to all the towns. And I kind of think that our representative will also keep us informed of that.
So is this just a practical way to move the money? I mean, wouldn't it seem, Natalie, why not have a bank?
They don't,
Why not open one?
well,
but then how is it used?
right.
So I guess what I want to know is, what are the housing authorities' thoughts on this? What are you thinking around this? And you're only one person here. I'm sorry, Natalie, to
No,
put you on
it's
the
okay.
spot.
I mean,
Because we don't even have a quorum in a housing authority right
I
now.
can talk with
Either.
Jack, of course, when we have our next meeting. I mean, that's all I can do really right now. He's got more of input with that area. I mean, he's more knowledgeable when it comes to that, 'cause I think he deals with that on a daily basis, if I recall. So,
I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, that the wording can be changed if in fact we choose to do that.
well, can I talk to legal when legal comes this month?
Oh,
yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, I'm gonna make an appointment with Adam and see what he says and go from there.
Okay, so
I'll talk with
so do you have this document to?
no, could you send it to me?
I
Or
can-
let me give him the side.
What's on that page?
I-
No, if you could send it to me, that'd
I'll
be great,
send it
then
to
I'll get
you
it out, that
and,
way, I can get it.
Or Aaron, do you want to send that to Natalie
And Jack,
and Jack?
so we can
And-
both look at it, if I may, please.
Yeah, Natalie, you should have it from the, I think it's about 2 emails back I sent it. So
Yeah.
you should have it. If not, I can find it and resend it to you.
Okay, yeah, if you could resend it, that'd be great, and then I think, you said Jack received one too? Was one?
Yes, I sent it to both the trust and the housing authority.
Okay, should I?
It was in our, let me give you a title. It was in our packet as Session Law Acts of 2024, Chapter 150.pdf. So it does not necessarily say that
This is
it's
where
the
you find out
Affordable
about the
Care Act
200
or the
laws.
Affordable
I
Homes
still
Act.
need to talk, I'll still talk to Adam.
Yeah,
I'll make an appointment with him with the information I get, and I'll confer with Jack.
Yeah,
you know.
what I told Margaret that what I thought we should do is that we had this meeting and that we should discuss it and decide what makes the most sense. What I don't want to do is lose those funds.
No, I
Right.
totally agree. If
So,
you want to go, you can always go with me to the appointment with Adam, and we can address it with Adam to see what his.
This month I can't, but if one of you could,
Okay,
if you wanted to either, you know,
I'm around.
both of you could go, two of us could
Yeah.
go,
Maybe,
because we're a 4-person quorum, so
do the email and I'll
even
figure
3
out
of
when
you
I
could
can
go.
I'll make the appointment with Adam. Or,
And
yeah.
let Cindy and Dave and
Right,
Beverly
yes.
know, or
Yeah.
Aaron know, and,
Of course. Okay.
Because do we have to know what to do with this money? Right? Is that part of it?
I'm sure there's plenty, I'm sure the housing authority has
Yeah,
projects that could use it.
Well, that's what I'm wondering,
Yeah,
I,
you know, I mean, and when you talk about site conditions, and like I said, this sounds very broad. I mean, if there
it
was-
could be land,
That's what I mean.
which is we have land, the housing authority does not.
Right.
The housing authority, as far as I know, doesn't hold any properties.
I don't-
But manages
So-
property.
Yeah. No?
No,
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 sorry.
and that's why even like a voucher program,
Oh.
you know,
we aren't equipped to do that in
Right.
town.
Right.
It would cost more money to get more staffing, to get all the things in place to do it, and I don't see it happening anytime soon. I asked if it could be used to contract I asked Margaret, what could it be used for the housing authority to contract with and I also don't know if there's a time frame in which it has to be
That's what you.
expended. But in any event, so, you know, because if we do have housing, you know, down the road, it might be good to have these. The other question was, could it be used to purchase, if a home on the housing inventory comes up, we keep losing them.
Yeah.
Because they don't get sold within the time frame. Could those funds be used to purchase something?
Okay.
And then where is the most logical place to use it? So I think it is a conversation with Adam
We'll talk to
and
Adam then.
both of these, and
Yeah,
then just to put it where it's the most usable.
Exactly.
This might be the most expedient place to put it.
All
Right,
right, I'll set it up I'll get the appointment.
and it's usually the last Tuesday of the month, correct? That he's here, is
I
that
just got
right?
the email, I think I got the email today from Sabrina. We
Okay.
probably have it. It just came out it just
No,
came out
I
this
don't
af-
usually get it. I think
Okay, well,
Aaron
it came out
gets
this
it.
afternoon.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date though.
So,
okay, so you'll make the appointment? with
I'll make the
Adam?
appointment with Adam and I'll confer with Aaron, of course, yes.
he's usually here from like 4 to 7 or something
I
like
don't
that
know. I
on
don't know.
Tuesday, on the last Tuesday of the
See
month.
if I have it.
And,
I will make the appointment and then see if it all works
Yeah,
yeah,
for everybody.
and then, and we can go from there.
Yes. And
You know.
we'll just do that.
And I'll let Margaret know that we're doing that. It's under discussion. We'll let her know if there's any changes in wording
Of
that
course.
need to be made. But I think we want to make sure that if it's going to the housing authority, that it's going to the housing
Exactly,
authority.
not somewhere
It's
else.
not going
It's not
to the
going-
general fund.
Yes, I totally agree.
So,
I will talk. to
I don't
Scott.
know what the mechanism
We'll find
is.
out. We'll find
So.
out when I talk to them, when we talk. I'll let Jack know, so he knows.
you have our contact information.
And I'm sure I'll do it after.
So
Okay.
it should be the 24th, okay.
I'll let you know when I find out.
All right, thank you. That was all I had on that one.
That one.
That one.
Next.
Anybody else have anything else on the state's Affordable Homes Act or
No.
anything? No? Okay. So the next one is the discussion on the MBTA communities bylaw. So do you want me to just go on my rant, Aaron, or do you want to talk about it?
I can give a 3-second update and then I'll let you take off of it.
Okay, good.
So basically the planning board voted to take the section I believe it was, that had the provision for having affordable housing be part of the MBTA community zoning for Townsend. That was struck from the draft zoning bylaw, and so there is no longer a section requiring any affordable housing. I think we said that it was going to be if there was over 9 units, then it was going to be 10% or something. There was going to be required 10%, and that is no longer a part of it. The rationale was that, and I'm sure Veronica will go into more depth with this, but the rationale was that there's the rate for affordable housing. We are in the same HUD designation as places like Cambridge, Lexington, Concord, which tends to have a much higher home price as well as a much higher median income. And so the area median income, the AMI, is for the affordable is typically about the same or lower, or about the same, or will be you will not get an affordable unit that is costing less money than the market rate is the idea. And so by building more market rates or having just market rate and not forcing the affordable, it will be basically the same sort of thing is the idea. So you will just end up with all the same prices. It just won't be marked as affordable. But I know that Veronica has some other things to say about that, especially the HUD designation.
Yeah, so in that meeting where that decision was made, and I think I might have already ranted in our meeting, but anyway, it was interesting that Joe from MRPC said we should really look into getting our designation changed. And I thought, so, okay, what is that designation? And how does one change it? Because I didn't know. It was also interesting that Groton didn't realize that we weren't in the same designation as them. So Groton, Pepperell, Dunstable, Westford, Tingsboro, they're all Lowell region. So it's right here. Billerica, Chelmsford, Dracut, Dunstable, Groton, Lowell, Pepperell, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, and Westford are all the Lowell designation, which is much lower, roughly AMI, hold on 1 minute, I have numbers here, for this is effective May 15th, 2023, they have increased. For a 4-person family, you qualify for affordability if you're 94,650 your income. In Townsend, because we're in the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy area, it's 118,450 qualifies for you for that. So the good news about that is, if you live in Townsend, and you qualify if you have a higher income. The bad news about that is that because it is assumed by the federal government that you can pay 30% of your income for housing, the affordable housing is more expensive in Townsend than it is in Groton, Pepperell, Dunstable, etc. So people with lower incomes have to pay more money, more than what's 30% for an affordable unit. So the trade-off is it how, I guess the overall question is, how do we get housing that is affordable for our people, the people that are people, I'm sounding like others, for the people who, for the income for this town that is actually the AMI, because our AMI, I have numbers here, is much lower than most of the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy towns, not all of them, and almost all of our abutters, actually, Groton, Pepperell, our actual AMI is lower than theirs. So it's a real, I don't know if I explained that really well, but in any event, Middlesex County has 2 designations. One is the Boston, Cambridge, Quincy, and one is Lowell. Even if we were to try to regionalize housing, we couldn't regionalize that way because we don't fit. Not with Lowell, with Lunenburg. Lunenburg is Worcester County. So we're looking at Ashby, here, Shirley. That would be our regional area, because Shirley and Ashby are in the same designation as us. And Cindy pointed out that it's probably the railroad lines that used to go through these towns.
What's Air?
And where they went.
Where's Air?
Air is in Boston, Cambridge, Quincy, because the Fitchburg line goes right through
How
there.
about Devon's?
Devon's isn't
It's a
a,
quasi town.
so they don't really, They do not appear in
Okay,
any of
But like,
these.
Harvard is Worcester County. I think.
Okay, yeah, okay.
So Harvard is Worcester. I don't know where Devon sits in
Right in the
the
middle.
grand scheme of things. And I did not print Worcester
No.
County out because I wasn't
Right.
Yeah.
worried about that. So my question was, how do we change the metropolitan statistic area? And so, so Margaret wisely referred me to, she said, it's a federal designation.
Mhm.
You can talk to me all you want, but I can't affect this change immediately, and I can't tell you how to do it. So I talked to Emily Catelli at Lori Trahan's office, and she understands the issue. And she's gonna talk to the HUD people to see how they pick these designations,
Mhm.
how long it's been since they've reassessed,
Mhm. Mhm.
and what parameters do they use to determine what region you're in.
Mhm.
And that talk was at 4 o'clock today. So so she will get back to me. Erin, I gave her your number and your email as well, so that she could contact you too. So her name is Emily Catelli, Cotelly, I believe it is. And she is in Lori Trahan's office, Emma Catelli. Very good person to talk to, knowledgeable, and knows I told her I contacted the HUD office in Boston and never got a response.
Yeah,
But
well,
those were in my ranting days, so it could have sounded like a ranting. I did not say, how dare you put us in there? I just, but when someone from a small town calls and says, hey, we want to know how you put us in, we want to talk to you about our metropolitan statistical area, because we don't think we're in the right one, and I'm chair of the Affordable Housing Trust. They might think, okay. So anyway, so I never did hear back, but so that was the question for them. So my rant has toned down somewhat. And that brings us to the next thing on our agenda, unless you guys have questions.
Veronica, can I make?
I am not going to take questions, Cindy. Sorry, no. But I will take them from anybody at the table.
No, I'm good.
You're good. Okay, so we're going to move on to 1.7, which is discussion of and support for work on an inclusionary zoning bylaw proposed changes. So Erin, I'm gonna let you talk on that. So.
I unfortunately do not have it pulled up. I can see if I can do it quickly while I'm talking, but I might ramble then, so.
Do you want me to ramble? I can ramble.
I can talk.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I can talk and give the overview first and then find it while you speak more on it.
Okay, great.
So we were trying to think of different ways that we might be able to, if we can't change the zoning, we can't change the MBTA communities zoning bylaw to include the affordable housing, then we should see if there's other ways that we might be able to affect change so that we can have more affordable housing sort of built into when things are being built here in Townsend. So we were looking at the zoning bylaw, and section like 148 dash something.
145-48.
Okay, there we go. I'll go and find it in just a moment. And pull it up on the screen. But basically, it says currently there is a provision for if somebody is doing a multifamily open space development or another type of development that's escaping me right now, that there might be some wiggle room for them to create affordable housing, but it's never been done because it's not as enough of an incentive for anyone. And so our thoughts are to either really incentivize it, either give like a huge density bonus. You're allowed to and I'm completely making this up, but instead of doing 2 stories, you could do 4 stories, or something like that, something that'll make it worthwhile for the developer, or we could make it so that it is mandatory for if you were doing, and we would also add in the age restricted housing developments as well. So it would make it so that if someone were to be putting in one of these developments, it would make it so that there would be affordable housing as a part of those developments. It will not completely change the way that affordable housing is created, but it might help. And so we're looking at different options for doing that. And I will, Veronica, if you want to talk any more about it, and then I can go and find the zoning bylaw.
Yeah, I think the zoning bylaw right now says 30%. We could consider making it just 10%. It's on only open space preservation developments and open space multifamily developments right now. Open space multifamily preservation developments. So like Aaron said, we would add in 55 and over and make it mandatory. So that would make it inclusionary. And we could also, these are just thoughts. We could also say, okay, so it is mandatory, but if the developer doesn't want to do that, then they could make a payment in lieu of the density bonus that goes to the Affordable Housing Trust in order for the trust to be able to create more affordable units. So that's the thought, and yeah, there it is. It's a conditional density bonus right now. So Aaron has it up there. That's the wording. It has never been used in this town. It was put in place in 1989 as a result of, can you see it here? Yeah, that's hard to see up there. It was put in place when the master plan process was done in the mid-80s, when the open space preservation development and multifamily development came into play. And there had been brought forward a certain percentage of affordability, and the town meeting said, no, we don't want that. And so that was taken out, and this bylaw was then after the fact written to allow for it conditionally, not mandatory. But if a huge development was going into town, the planning board could choose to say, we want this. And I think it says 30%.
It does.
Yeah, which is really a lot. So, given that the housing inventory goal is 10% of your housing stock as affordable units, 10% might be something to consider as opposed to 30. But I don't want to, I guess our next one is the SHI.
So would we be changing this, or we would like to change it? Is that what,
We would meet with the planning board and,
change it to-
and,
yeah, because I think 30% is too high.
How do you change the density? Can that be changed? This is what 1 acre zoning. This,
what do you mean it's 1 acre zoning?
I don't know, that's what it says.
The the open space preservation development is 1 acre. That's the density bonus that you get with open space, because we're a 2 and 3 acre town at the moment.
So what I've started doing is,
This is nothing like that.
No. The planning board may not allow an increase in density beyond 1 total dwelling unit per acre. That's the way it is. As a further incentive for the construction of affordable housing, the board may, at its discretion, waive certain improvement requirements set forth. So right now, we have 2 and 3 acre zoning in town for residential. If you put in an OSPD or an open space multifamily, that is relaxed. to 1 acre for open space. It's relaxed through the zoning bylaws. The planning board can't change that, but they can say, okay, you don't have to, I don't know, mark all the corners with granite posts. You can use rods instead, or whatever. There are certain things that can be waived in the bylaw when you look at it. And so the planning board has the discretion to waive those items. Because they can't do more than that. You know, they can't allow 5 acres. But we're changing the zoning. There's a lot of zoning changes happening. So things are up for discussion. This is just the way it's written right now. So Erin is taking a look and making suggestions, so we can meet with the planning board and see what they think.
Yeah, I'm in the process right now of going through and finding some inclusionary zoning from different towns across Massachusetts. So we have some different things to look at and say, this works in, Groton or Pepperell or Shirley. So we can take a look and say, okay, if it's working there, can we make it work here as well? So that we can see if we can get closer to having more affordable housing and meeting that 10% SHI, which isn't the be all end all, but I think that the closer we can get to having more or even above 10% would be great. But having inclusionary zoning would really help us in order to make it easier for us to actually get affordable housing as opposed to where we are right now, which does not drive the need to build it.
Market, yeah. Well, but even with that, as time goes on, market rate becomes more and more unaffordable. In Townsend, it used to be before the pandemic, market rate could be affordable. There was some affordability in town, but if you look now, you're looking at 450K and up, and an affordable unit, even for the for Townsend, even with us being in Boston, Cambridge, is 336,000, and we don't really have that anymore. We used to, but we don't anymore. So anyway, yeah, that's that. So that's, I don't have much more to say on that. We're working on that, and we'll see, talk more at our next meeting about when we can meet with the planning board, and we would love to have the housing authority right there with us. So that's why it's on here. So the next thing is the subsidized housing inventory, and I did pull that up. Let me see if I can get to my stuff here. Yeah, so Erin is sharing, can you see that? This is the homes that we are 4%, I believe, 4.03, something like that, on the housing inventory right now at the SHI, the state maintained list. And these are where our affordability is. So Erin, do you want to talk to that?
So these are currently what we have. As you can see, like for instance, I don't know if you can see my cursor, but like Atwood Acres, right? It says the affordability expires in 2029. So we only have a few more years there. Whereas some of them are affordable in perpetuity, which is great. But that's something that has to be put into the deeds. And when you are first creating the affordable housing, that has to be a part of it. But this is currently what we have. We have 3,545 units. This is something that is not updated every year. I believe it's every couple of years that the state sends out the list. And yeah, Veronica, you were correct. We're at 4.09% of our 10%, which is what we're supposed to have. Anything less than 10%, and you can basically just means that you can have developers come in and do 40B projects, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That may mean that we get more housing. It could help in some ways. But that is sort of the, you don't get to pick and choose where the housing goes then, and what kind of necessarily what it looks like, things like that. There's no, the review process is very different than if you're just doing a regular development or a special permit or something like that. But I don't know if there's too much more to say about it.
Yeah, I don't think I have much more to say. I mean, really, just that without, because of the density allowed by MBTA communities, if we don't have an affordable element, it is going to be really difficult, even with the housing that we're hoping to build,
Yeah,
to meet that 10% goal. It's almost like it's unattainable. So,
Can I ask a question on the Atwood Acres, that the affordability expires in 2029? So what happens in 2029? Seeing how that's 50.
market rate, they can go market
They can
rate.
go market rate, that's and that's 50 units out
Yeah,
of our 40%,
yeah,
I mean, 4%.
yeah. And that isn't that far away. That's 5 years.
it
from
sure
now.
is.
So yeah, that's what happens there.
And the people that live there either have to do market rate
Or move.
And that's irrevocable. I mean, that's the date.
yeah, that's the,
I don't think it's probably deeded that way. That's the
Uh-huh.
way it was
Mhm.
set up. And unless someone, I don't know.
I know, I mean, maybe they would keep it, maybe it's something we could rework. I do know closer into Boston, senior housing like that was owned by HUD became market. And people are like, go find somewhere else.
It almost puts us in an untenable situation to be connected with the Cambridge whole alliance there. I mean, makes it really impossible for us to,
Yeah,
It means that affordability is more costly
Yeah,
here than it is in Groton.
it makes no sense.
yeah, even though we
so-
don't have the numbers
Yeah.
to support any of it, Do we have any control, like, say, between like housing to say, okay, these are the numbers, but we are going to say that we're gonna use 50% of what the average median income is instead of 80%?
Yeah, it depends on things like low income, the low income housing credits, is that what it is? There are two different types of credits, and they are two different percentages. And off the top of my head, I can't tell you exactly which is which, but it might be like 40 and 70 or something like that. There's, and they're two, so it depends on the program that you're using to help make things affordable and to entice a development company to work with you. So, but I do know that if and when we do have something developing, on the initial marketing of the units, whether it's rental or purchase, up to 70% can be local choice. So you can do a lottery and up to 70% can be people who are local, which means they live in the town.
Mhm.
Even people who,
Mhm.
so if there's a development underway and someone says, oh, I would love to be in that development, but I have to sell now and I'm going to move out of town and live in Nashua, they are no longer eligible for local choice, and they would be in the 30% open lottery.
Okay.
But you can do up to 70% networking meeting.
Yeah.
The Dunstable's in the process of this right now.
Oh, are they?
And yeah, getting the permitting for everything. So anyway, that's about all I have to say. I think I think that covers 1.8, the subsidized housing inventory.
Yeah.
Which then brings us to correspondence and announcements. And next meeting dates. did any correspondence or announcements? I think you sent out, Aaron, the one thing that I got from MHP. Aaron sent out an email. Did it go out to everybody? I guess, I assumed it did.
Oh,
You know,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was
but they,
yeah, for MHP is doing an event,
on November,
the last week of the month.
yeah.
And there were links in there for other things that are worth looking at. That was the only thing I think I got. Did I send you anything else?
I don't think so. The only other piece of correspondence was Chaz's resignation letter. That's it.
Oh, and for, I guess it was for August, the the account balance for the housing trust. I wanted to ask Aaron, do how do we take funds from there to pay for things that we've done over the course of the year? Because that was supposed to, in the budget, it was put in the budget, but it was put in the budget as out of the trust funds. And I assumed that at some point someone would do an accounting and say, here you go, this needs to be transferred from the account that we have into the general fund. That hasn't happened yet, has it?
So it happens throughout the year. I spoke to the assistant town accountant, and she gave me a printout of what has been spent, and
Okay.
it was for for payroll, for memberships, things like that. It came out as necessary throughout the year. It was not on the final warrant, as I think you had mentioned before. That was the original idea, that it would all sort of be tallied up at once.
Yeah, that's what I kind of expected. But here's the question. In those reports, I never see a transfer. In other words, our funds keep growing with the interest that we have. And I never see those transfers going into the general fund.
So I think that they're not going into the general fund. They're going directly from the account into to pay whatever is necessary. So to pay for payroll, to pay for the receipt to be reimbursed, if you will. So it never goes directly into the general fund. It just goes as an account to pay for something.
Okay, but shouldn't it be pulled out of our funds? Shouldn't we see then a minus somewhere?
So I think that what you are seeing is the general account balance, not the transactions from the month.
Oh, okay, then I think we need a different accounting. We need to see a different accounting, because that then is not truly what we have in that account.
No, it is. You're seeing what is left in the account. You're just not seeing the transactions that are happening in between.
Then we've done very well, if that's the case. Because we have. Okay. I might have to go talk to. I'll come in, Aaron, and see you.
Don't ruin our account balance.
I'm not gonna, I promise. I won't ruin our account balance. Okay, all right. So I guess my next question is, we had talked about, so no more announcements, correct? That was it. Okay. All right, this is on to next meeting dates. Do we have, were you able to talk to Adam about the meeting that we need to set up?
I have not gotten a response back from him quite yet. So I think we're going to have to pick different dates. So I think we can't post for Monday at this point. It's too late.
Too late, right?
So we're going to have to, I think, look at some different dates. So I will speak with Adam and
Wednesday,
see.
the 18th. What's the other one?
We had, 16, 18.
The 16th and the 18th.
So they're no good, right?
So we might still be able to do the 18th, but I'd have to hear back from Adam tomorrow. So I will, if not, I will ask him what other dates might work, and then we can schedule that.
Okay,
The dates will have to be after his meeting, after October. He's going on vacation,
Right.
so anyway, okay. All right, later in October, not after October, but later in October. All right, so the TAHT next meeting at this point then is October 21st at 1 p.m. That might be a good one to ask Adam about. On the agenda. So we're eliminating September 16th. Our next regular meeting is October 21st. And so we might want to talk to Adam about that date. Does that work?
And just put all that off till
And
October
put all that
21st.
off until then, yeah.
Yeah.
You're
So
saying there will
6th.
not be another September meeting?
I don't have anything else to say at this point. So I think I've said tonight everything that was new
Yep.
since last week when we met last. So I don't see us meeting in September. Do you guys? Unless MHP appears by magic.
Oh, the likelihood of that
is slim. So, yeah, I think that October 21st is our next regular meeting.
And then you're gonna try and do those other meetings with Adam for,
The meeting with Adam, and if it can't occur next week,
then
it can't
Then we
occur
have to wait on
until
Adam.
after
and then we'll know.
he comes back in October.
so if you hear from Adam tomorrow, that gives you time to post the meeting, and otherwise it'll be October.
Right.
Yes, it would give time to post for Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right,
okay.
that makes sense.
All right, so maybe the 18th, and then it would just be the topic. So, all right, the next joint meeting we have as October 3rd at 6 p.m. And right now I can tell you I cannot make that date. This one was postponed.
Well, that's also pending whether the,
Oh, yeah,
Housing has
let's
a
wait
quorum.
until housing has a quorum
yeah.
That's a good
to
idea.
do a
Wow,
joint
no
meeting, and
kidding.
Natalie will
Yeah.
invite
Yeah.
you to our meetings.
Okay.
How does that sound?
Yeah.
All right.
So
know.
come to our meeting on the
Okay.
21st if you
Okay.
can.
So we'll take this third out, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying take the 3rd out, yeah.
All right.
Okay, so we'll get rid of the 3rd.
Yeah, and we will schedule joint meetings again after we have a committee to be joint with.
Okay, and the only other one then would be, Townsend Housing with Adam over the. right,
Yes, you guys
10, 9,
meeting with
24.
Adam to talk about the
Yeah, right,
right.
250.
So that's 9/24,
Yeah,
I'll-
yeah,
okay,
I'll email.
and Natalie will let you guys know on that.
Yeah, I'll email tomorrow.
if, if that all
Yeah. Fine.
comes to fruition.
Yeah. Excitement.
So unless anybody else has anything else? Aaron, do you have anything else that? Okay, then, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Oh, no, make the motion.
Make the motion.
I'm so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, at 7:17. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right. No one opposed. All right, we will see you guys October 21st. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Erin.